and welcome to Corporate Diary at Deven Choksey. Yet another segment of Corporate Diary and yet another company and management. And this time we have Mr. Deven Choksey with us as well. So today, a very interesting company of a very interesting sector is what we are going to talk about. A company which made it smart, good, and big in the field of higher education online. We are talking about JARO Education, a company which has made an innovative model and a breakthrough in the area of skill development and skill enhancement. To talk on JARO Education and its growth story, today we have with us the founder and promoter of JARO Education, Dr. Sanjay Salunkhe, and we have the managing director of DRChoksey Finserv Pvt, Deven Choksey, who has identified this company as a performer in the edtech sector. A very warm welcome to both of you, Sanjay sir and Deven sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
So before we head start to the interview, a little bit of introduction and brief about the company, the reach and the recognition which the company has gained in all these years. JARO Education is India's most trusted online higher education company. The EdTech firm has been the first mover and a pioneer in the executive and online education industry. It was founded in 2009 by Dr. Sanjay Salunkhe, has been a profit-making organization since its inception. JARO Education is in the journey of making affordable, highly valued and recognized world-class online programs for professionals. If we talk about the reach, drawing change in the landscape of India's online education, JARO Education has formed strategic affiliations with top-tier business schools and universities across the globe. The name itself says these leading universities include the Wharton School, Rotman School of Management, the IIMs and IITs of India, and as well as the IMT Ghaziabad and many more in the list. If we talk about the recognition, the company has been awarded the EdTech Leadership Award and the National Best Employer accolade by World HRD Congress in March 2022. I once again welcome Dr. Sanjay Salunkhe and Mr. Deven Choksey on our segment. Sanjay sir, we are so glad to have you with us, and Deven sir, again very happy to see you on this segment. There's a list of questions, long list of questions we have, and I'm going to start right away. So, Deven sir, you are known as a successful wealth creator in the industry and have many blue chip companies identified at the right time for investors. My first question to you would be, according to you, what's the appeal which made you identify JARO Education? Because as I see, it is your first company identification in EdTech segment.
Yeah, thank you, Mansi, and thank you, Dr. Salunkhe, for being in the show. I believe that we always look at the people behind the business first. And that's where probably I think when we saw JARO Education with the kind of profile in the business where they could successfully manage to partner with some of the most enviable institutions, I think we started looking at the person behind the business, how the person has moved into this particular segment. What we observed was, having started modest with one institution, they gradually scaled up, gave themselves time, gradually scaled up, and gradually started enrolling different institutions, including all IITs, all IIMs, and several other universities, global as well as local. I think this is where probably I think we found something very interesting happening with this company. Taking a further deep dive into the subject, we found that today they have got about 28 institutions with whom they have a tie-up. In each of these institutions with whom they have a tie-up, they have a partnership model. Now, generally, I think we all have understood that in education business, one would like to create its own brand and then probably I think run this entire brand on its own. This company has developed a very successful model wherein they could convince some of the Ivy Leagues and some of the, I think, top-rung institutions in India to become partner with them. What essentially they would do is they would identify the requirement of skill sets in the country. They would structure the program. They would identify the faculty who could run this particular program. They would provide the online infrastructure for conducting this program. And they do performance marketing by way of producing the enrollments for the institution. And ultimately the students who would basically get enrolled would get either the certification or the alumni status of the respective schools or the universities And that is what has possibly, I think, appealed us, that if somebody who is basically making a very systematic move by not getting into the subjects, I think, which otherwise results into, I think, establishing own brand, you are leveraging the partner's brand, and you are at the same time, I think, moving ahead with a profitable business model. These are some of the checkbox items, I think, which we observed while doing our research on the subject. And we found that Dr. Salunkhe and his team have done a superb job in building this entire business model. So maybe I think it would be a right platform for inviting Dr. Salunkhe and probably speak more about the subject in which I think he has developed this particular expertise. Thank you, Mansi. But Dr. Salunkhe, I think you can add up to whatever I think I have observed so far.
So basically, to talk about the motivation to start this venture was when I was in the corporate world, all executives want to become an MD of a company or the CEO or successful entrepreneurs. But it was more of a dreaming, and execution is the key to success. So I realized that they should undergo the multifunctional knowledge, like somebody who is in operations or somebody who is in sales or finance for that matter, should have knowledge of all the functions, all the verticals in the business. Like finance is the heart of business, marketing, sales, operations, HR and all. So I used to tell them during their performance appraisal every year that go and get little management education. But those days, I'm remembering 1992, 93, there was hardly anything as online per se. The tech was not so developed. So it was that time that ODL teaching, open distance learning was there. But that was distance was distance, They will send the books through courier and then people may study, may not study, may not understand, may not understand. So when in 1998 I was in US, I saw online education zooming up, growing quite well. And I thought when it gets a little liberalized in India, I should get into it. So in 2009, I got into online and saw the good potential for the business model as well as the growth. So wanted to head both segment. One is a working professional to grow up the corporate ladder, and the corporates getting the best talent to grow the business models. That's how the beginning began.
Yeah, I think that's how I think one has looked at it. But as you see the growth, I think in this particular sector, I was just catching up with some of the data. I found that total addressable market in the online education space is likely to be somewhere around $175 billion by 2030, from what it is less than $40 billion last year. So from a perspective of looking at the growth is going to be almost, I think, 4.5 times, 5 times kind of a growth that we are talking about from now on to next 5-6 years. If this is the kind of growth that one is seeing in the online education space, where exactly you think you are positioned and where exactly you think that you can possibly scale up in this particular business model, or the challenges that you will meet along with, I think, the opportunity that you are seeing for yourself?
Looking at the high potential, we are also growing up the numbers very well. Today we are almost 1,000 staff member team. And as you rightly said, the potential is very high. So in the online education space alone, we somewhere feel that we should be able to capture at least 4 to 5% of the market share.
That's sizable. That's quite sizable. I think of the total size of the market of more than 150 lakh crores, 1,50,000 crore plus, you're talking about 4 to 5% size of the market. Sizable.
Okay, so quite a sizable share there. And Dr. Salunkhe, along with the fundamentals also, we did look at the financials and the key metrics, and they also talk about the strength of the company. I mean, a whopping EBITDA growth of 49% and a net revenue growth of 36% from FY22 to FY23 speaks a lot about yourself. How did you manage to maintain a sharp focus on maintaining positive EBITDA and revenue growth? And also going forward, how sustainable do you think it will be?
To tell you, I started the business by mortgaging my house. So in 2009-10, I mortgaged my house, borrowed 1 crore from a bank and started. So when you mortgage your own living house, right, it's not that, okay, I had 2-3 houses and one mortgage. Okay. So you're very focused on the EBITDA. You're focused on the profitability. Otherwise, how would you prepay the bank loan? Correct. So The beginning was very modest, small. We had a good brand with us, and then over a period of time, we realized that the bigger the brands and the better the brands, the quality education is good. Once the quality education is good, the learner is happy. He will tell his own friends, colleagues also to enroll for such a wonderful program. So we, right from the beginning, focus only on the best of the best brands. That's why the IIMs like IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Trichy, IIM Kozhikode, and so on. The IITs, IIT Madras, IIT Delhi, IIT Guwahati, so on, Ivy League and other institutes. So best quality education, best quality growth for the working professional, and he talks good about it. So we not gone on to TV and IPL and FIFA and all that. We focused on putting all resources very well planned on the growth. We never got into hasty growth also. So we'll start an office with 15-20 people, we're doing good, then add on another 15-20 and so on, it's growing on.
You have already got more than 350,000 students, I think, who have cleared through this particular enrollment process, and they have successfully cleared, I think, all either the degree course or the certification course, as the case may be. Going forward, I think what could be these numbers? Because as we see it, the larger amount of penetration is happening because of the internet into the B towns and the C towns going forward. If one looks at some of the data points, I think one finds it is quite challenging to also get into, I think, some of the higher audience. You have about 70 crore people using the OTT platforms, 37 crore people using the digital payment platforms, 60 crore people using the social media platforms, and only 2.4 crore people using the online learning platforms. Which means that if one looks at, I think, internet as a space where it has captured the audience elsewhere, could it happen that, I think, the online learning results into significantly higher amount of capturing of the enrollments going forward? And if that is so, then what would be your strategy adding them into your business at some point of time through your partner institutions, of course?
Yeah. So basically, we would get into the tier 1, tier 2 cities, the huge crowd down there, and maybe the population in the metros like Bombay, Delhi, and Chennai or Bangalore is blessed with having good faculties, whereas the tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities across India have still very good gems and diamonds there, which should be polished very well. So if the best benefit of the online education is the best of the best quality faculties can deliver a talk across the country, across the world. So that population in tier 2, tier 3 was deprived of the quality higher education. Now it is easily available. So the faculty from Mumbai or Delhi or Bangalore can teach even somebody at Satara, Kolhapur or Gaya or Jabalpur and so on. So that's why the traction is very good. The acceptance for online is very good. No doubt, initially it was a little slow paced because training or grooming the faculties from the brick and mortar, the classroom model to online model where the lights, cameras are on, and so it was a little difficult task. But now these faculties have gained expertise, and now more and more faculties are being groomed to deliver this set of sessions. So once this quality education goes to the rural India, tier 2, tier 3, I'm going to be very happy that those gems and diamonds are going to come up and going to compete with the metro crowd, and that's why how the nation will grow, the society will grow. It's going to be mind-boggling for that matter. We, throughout our journey in this last 15 years almost, focus on value creation over valuation. Once you have created a value, I still remember my childhood days when my mother used to teach, she was not so learned like MBA and all, but I respect elderly people. So she used to always say, Sanjay, first pray Goddess Saraswati. And if you're blessed by Goddess Saraswati, maybe Goddess of wealth and money, Goddess Lakshmi may bless you. But if you're blessed by Goddess Lakshmi, not necessarily Goddess Saraswati will bless you. So first focus on education. Keep on learning throughout your life. Even the old people who are not so educated, BTech or MTech or MBAs and all that, but they had a good wisdom, they had good knowledge. Right? So she used to teach through storytelling. And that's what I used to get fascinated and getting learning more. Right? So this is how, sorry, please.
Sir, one thing which I picked it from your answer was that the focus was more on value creation and not on valuation. Deven sir, if you would want to throw more light on this, because I'm sure you must have seen all of these factors while you were identifying the company.
So yeah, I think it's a very interesting trait, I think, which we observe in many promoters, where they would focus on value creation and let the valuation follow as an outcome of value creation. I think the deep value investing approach that we have been cultivating, we find that I think if you have a total addressable market size of, say, for example, 3,000 such institutions where you can possibly approach, if you have a total addressable market size of, say, for example, 25% of India's population, which could possibly be enrolled at some point of time into the online education, I would think that I think the opportunity scale is quite huge in this kind of a proposition. And it is ultimately, I think, the right way of execution of this opportunity, which would make a lot of sense. That puts across, I think, one point, I think, which comes in my mind, that today you have got 28 institutions, Dr. Salunkhe, with you. You have kept, I think, a pace of adding 5 to 6 institutions every year. And still and at the same time, I think on the existing institutions, I think you also end up taking additional programs that they would conduct. All these put together, I think, has yielded somewhere around 40% plus kind of a growth. Though this particular point came up in between, that I think this 40% kind of a growth model that you have put across, do you think that I think 40% growth model is sustainable going forward? Opportunity size is huge, and I think if you have to scale up, I think on this opportunity size, and if 40% is available growth to you, do you think you want to continue with this growth model, or you want to, I think, expand the growth model beyond 40%, or maybe I think keep it below 40%? I think would like to understand your thoughts on this subject.
As you rightly said, the opportunities are very big and good, and the growth is possible. So current year, March 24, we are top line is going to go up by almost 65% compared to 23. So we will achieve 200 crore mark. And the EBITDA growth is quite substantial. From last year's around 23, 24 to this year, it could be around 60 crore. That's quite good. Despite of the fact that no cutting corners, no compromise on quality, because education is such a field or vertical where you cannot think about compromise on quality. And because it's learning again. It's not only building the society, but building nation. More the educated people, more the growth for the corporates, more the growth for the society, and ultimately for the nation as a whole. Right? So we had been throughout playing a very long-term, consistent growth approach. By adding 6-7 institutions year on year, we are still playing modestly, because the deliverables should be good. Instead of adding too many and then faltering on the deliverables, we should have reasonable number. Instead of 6-7, we may have 10-12, but not 50 and 100. We don't want to recruit also very in a haste. I have seen a lot of companies that, without naming anybody as such, they recruiting 1,000 people and then laying off 500. In that process, they fail to understand the employees who were good in this or setup also get jittery about. Because when you lay off some big numbers like that, the good people also may run away. So slow and steady wins the race. When I say slow, 40-45% growth is slow as far our thinking goes. And so that growth is possible. Max to max, that 40% may come down to 37-38%. That 2-3%, 4% variation could be there. That's all. There will not be something great, because there is high potential for the market to grow. And the corporates are doing well, the economy is doing well, our current government is doing well. So with that, I think the flow should be good.
Absolutely.
And our focus is more on consistency over speed, right? Not only just run, but ensure that deliver quite good and then consistently growth.
And the numbers look, I think, quite appealing. Sam, you mentioned those numbers that this year ending next few days, I think you're talking about 200 crores top line and talking about 60 crore worth of EBITDA. On an existing equity base of last year of 15 crore, you already had the earned reserve in general reserves of 75 crore. So totally, I think your net worth is 90 crores. On that 90 crore net worth, you are talking about earning 200 crore worth of revenue and 60 crore worth of EBITDA. If you continue to apply the same arithmetics, and I think going forward in the next year, which is starting, I think, in a couple of weeks from now. I think you should be at 40% rate of growth, going closer to 280 crores kind of a top line. Generating significant amount of cash at the same time and achieving this size of a top line. Do you see any kind of a financial challenge in the entire process which you are attempting at this point of time?
In this sector, especially as the program is tenure, the MBA is 2 years, and for the BBA or BCom is 3 years, the cash flow is a little bit tricky here, because if you want to grow above 50% growth, then you may have little shortfall in the cash flow. But luckily, we have managed to take loan or other financial support for that matter. So we don't have any cash flow problems as such for that matter. So the growth should be at that 40% is, I think, easily possible. So next year, more than 40% we should hit the top line. And similarly, the growth in the EBITDA should be also quite good.
Sure.
Absolutely. Sanjay sir, picking right from when you say that slow and steady wins the race, of course, the strategy and the thought process behind the business structure is very important, in fact, of utmost importance. So, deep diving into the story of JARO Education, we found out some interesting facts. And yes, you have built yourself slowly, sustainably, and effectively. And you're right when you say that you are not on TV, not on IPL, but you have managed to be on top of performance purely based on your output. So, how did this vision come onto you, and how did you hold yourself from access unwanted means of advertising and promotion? Did you already knew that it was a froth which will fizzle out?
I don't want to talk about what happens outside for that matter, but we as an organization, we started the journey with a small objective and aim was to educate the working professional, help them to grow up the corporate ladder and help the corporate get the right talent to grow big. We never thought of valuation. Right? So like a normal business model, we started a journey, focus on EBITDA, grow slowly, 30, 35, 40% growth take on. And there was, as we did not take any funding, I said there was nobody sitting on our head and dancing and saying fast growth, inorganic growth, right? It was our own money. We sustained our own self. So we could design and develop our own strategy. We were absolutely strategy focused. So that's why we never ran left, right, center, here and there, no inorganic acquisitions. Because I've seen some companies acquiring 4 or 5 companies in a year. To settle one company acquisition, it takes at least a year or 2. And then 4 or 5 is something very different altogether. So we again say the same thing, slow and steady wins. There is focus on the deliverables to the institution. So good word of mouth. So we have as high as 40 to 50% referrals. And so there's no cost in that. There's hardly any cost in that. But when the learner is satisfied, you won the game. He's happy. He tells somebody else, I'm happy, it's a fantastic program, and the IIMs and IITs definitely deliver very good programs. So only we have to channelize them properly. So channelize your resources properly. And for our own people, for that matter, we have given them good management development programs, including the IIM faculties we have bought for our own resource to or staff to be groomed, developed. So we focus on their motivation, their performance, their grooming. We have succession planning in place. After BMI, CEO is there in place. So we always follow the basic concepts of management. If we try to educate somebody and we don't organize or manage our organization properly, then I don't think we have a right to educate somebody else. We do our own job first, right? And then teach others. I don't know whether I'm talking too loud, but I've seen what's happening around. So that's why I somewhere feel one should be a little play everything. Business is a game. But go it in a proper way, have strategy in place, do proper execution, right? Review it again, and then move ahead. I hope
that makes perfect sense. I think we also find that those corporates who have got a business plan to execute steadily, they reward maximum to the investors. The likes of HDFC Bank, I think, who have ran the 30% CAGR model for almost 15 to 20 years, I think they created superb wealth for investors. And so would be the examples available with some other companies like Bajaj Finance and so on and so forth. So once you set right your model, the metrics about, I think, growth rate, and on that growth rate, if you start performing, generally, I think you will not go wrong and you will keep producing your wealth, I think, very systematically, eventually. I think the other point which comes to my mind that today in this fast-moving world, the disruption is becoming a reality, and this disruption is now coming through AI. You being veteran in this particular space, so my point of view, I want to understand, I think, where do you see the role of AI in the education sector, and how is JARO geared up for putting across the AI into its own way of conducting the programs, and also I think in offering the programs to the enrollments, the students of different universities. So that would be, I think, one point which I probably want to get a little bit more clarity from you.
So, especially from the AI perspective, if you look at uh, the translation into multiple languages can be very fast done with almost as good as 96 to 97% accuracy. So, the way the government of India has very properly now bought vernacular language education for engineering and medicine and all. So, the masses which were deprived of not having good knowledge of English, of not be able to get into the engineering and the medicine stream for that matter, can now get into. Similarly, now this all management education or technology education, which through the AI we can get into vernacular language done with a great accuracy percentage, and that can also benefit for the. So the normal repetitive part of the education can be taken by the AI in a very well way, where the new case study approach method by definitely require the human intervention.
Sure, that makes sense.
So here, what I learned in this journey also, I can tell you, sir, is get the best talent. When you hire somebody, because if I want to have apple juice, I need to have apple. I cannot have potato and have apple juice. So if the talent is not correct or the best, then the organization may go away, especially in the service industry for that matter. So for an MBA program, I always feel that the faculties should have some kind of corporate exposure, because teaching subjects like merger acquisitions and so on cannot be just taught from the books. So if a management faculty has corporate experience and then they teach the management subjects, the courses, it makes a good amount of sense. So other assets like, say, for example, AC can be from Blue Star or can be from Daikin or anything for that matter, right? But human talent, no compromise. So get the best of the best talent, motivate them, retain them, reward them very well, give them a growth. And even some people left us during the COVID period for that matter. But again, they wanted to come back, and our doors are open for good people to come back. And our asset is all our team members. Because fund guys can give ample money. There is no dearth of money in the market. But nobody can give you one good manager.
Very well.
Yeah. So that is the basics of management which you understand, and that's how we run it in proper way. Yeah.
Very nicely put, and it was like a very well said note, in fact, and insightful answer towards the question. But if we talk about the recent partnerships also, you have partnered with XLRI Jamshedpur to enhance the skills and employability of HR professionals. And right now, we were just talking about how workforce and how people management is important. Given your rich background in HR, what are your thoughts on how the best talent can be nurtured in the corporate setting and subsequently be retained to reap the maximum benefits for corporates and individuals alike?
I think one needs to be very humble. So whatever wealth you create or whatever organization make it for that matter, it is not by the leaders themselves. They provide the vision, the mission to the team, and the hands and legs are down the hierarchy, right? So respect them equally, and don't disrespect their suggestions. They may have better ideas than the heads of the organization, or the vertical heads for that matter. So listen to them carefully and appreciate them. Involve them in the decision making process. Once, because if they just do hand and leg job, you don't involve them in the decision making process, then they don't think. My boss has said I'm doing it. No, involve them, and then they start thinking, because their job they know better than us. So when they start taking decisions for that matter, the growth becomes very easier, qualitative and faster. Now, to give an example, even the education partnership with the institutions, wherein what we do is basically we do the business intelligence, we gather information from the corporate world, uh, and what is required by the corporate world. We provide that in a broad, say, learning outcomes to the institutions. They develop the program based on that. Then we do the marketing for it. We provide the technology support, the learning management system, and so on. And when the learners say, this faculty was teaching theoretical, I want real life industrial examples, we give that input to the institutions back, saying that the faculty should give more of industrial examples, case study based approach, so they understand better. They don't want just theory, and they accept it. They then improve it and deliver better. Then learner satisfaction is the best. And that's why we don't have to. That's why. Tell me one thing in education, except for the don't mind, ma'am, the FMCG products like fairness cream and all that, you require star celebrities. For education, you don't require celebrities.
Right.
People know what is their own background.
Absolutely.
So, you don't have to just sell education.
Very true.
You have to counsel. You have to explain what are the MBA subjects are in. How would you go in the corporate ladder? And this crowd is matured crowd. The higher education crowd, unlike the K-12. K-12 did so an upsurge in COVID because parents were at home. See, mother, father, or elder brother, sister, teacher has to be behind the kid. He's a baby, right? So they were bound to get diverted here and there, right? Some friend will whistle from outside and will run for playing. So in COVID, parents were at home. It did well, K-12 model. But later on, parents went to office, nobody behind him. Now, how we get the child can sit down and study? How much percentage of the children can study on their own just sitting like that? 2%, 3% max. Right? But this crowd in higher education is the matured crowd. If they give 2 lakh rupees fees, they will demand 4 lakh rupees returns.
Correct.
That's why the higher education, the people normally make a confusion between EdTech, higher education and K-12. There is a two different segment. This is a matured working professional. He is going to demand best of the best quality education. He also brings experience, and the faculties learn from the participants also, without naming any IIM for that matter. I have observed in one particular IIM that now a lot of all places almost, they want to teach more of working professionals because they get equal learning from the questions rather than the fresh IIM crowd for that matter. So this is how the difference is, and this is why the growth in the higher education EdTech market is going to be sustainable or quite good. Year on year. I don't know if I took more time. I'm sorry for that.
It's very interesting perspective that I think you're putting it across, and I think that leads me to also ask you one more point. How did you manage to partner with the such large institutions? They have their own brand. They also have the ability to attract the students into the enrollment. And yet, I think they are choosing you as a partner to walk along. What is that particular formula which is working, which is basically giving you the distinct advantage of, I think, working with some of the marquee institutions like the IIMs and the IITs?
Right from the beginning, we said, take in the plate what you can digest. Don't take too much. So we started first, or in the IIMs, we started the journey with IIM Ahmedabad, the first partner in IIMs. We did wonderful work, and generally the IIMs faculties go around in IIMs, or IIT faculties goes around in IIMs. So the good word goes around. So somebody went from IIM Ahmedabad to some other IIM. So we got a call, we got a tender from IIM Trichy, and then we applied and we got through, and we deliver very well. Last year we got it through IIT Delhi. So we started with one program. Today we are running 10 programs. So the growth in this particular industry comes from different things like current partner programs and additional programs for the growth, new partners, new programs for the growth, and third factor is the revision in fees. Every 2 years or 3 years, there is small revision in the fees, which again provides a growth. So even if our enrollment number, for example, jumps by 30% in a year, the revenue may jump 40 or 50%. So that is how the growth is. And once you deliver goods to the partner institution, the good word of mouth goes around. Right? So that's how one IIM, then 2, 3, 4, now 7, one IIT, then 2, 3, 4, now 5 or 6, and so on.
Interesting. So that probably, I think, maybe some of our viewers may also be wanting to understand from you that what is your thought process on the capital market journey? You are now moving from the promoter-owned company and trying to put yourself into the public market going forward. Given the size of opportunities, well understood that I think you will be also requiring financial resources in the business. So certainly, I think you are targeting to go into the listed market. What is the time plan? What is the game plan in this area of activity?
Maybe in the next 7 8 months time, we should go towards the IPO journey. We have given the ESOPs to our staff members. We did not divest earlier. Now we are in the phase of divestment also little. So the ESOPs given to the staff members and the faculties, they should get some good reward out of it. Because it is like the employees are like kids for me, and they should grow. They should get rewarded for the good work they have done. They have built it over a period of 14 15 years, the organization, so they should get the maximum possible rewards. And we will keep on doing our own business. Let the market decide, let the stakeholders decide our path or journey. We will be focused on our business model.
So, yeah, I mean, considering all of that you have said, and of course, the way you actually cater and the way you actually see the workforce working with you is really commendable. Deven sir, the government is also doing a lot while we talk about the education sector and the transformation of education sector. So, if you would want to touch base something over there.
Yeah, the new education policy, I think, is having a lot of promises to offer. Frankly, I think under the new education policy, the one of the biggest game changer thing which is happening is online curriculum versus on-campus curriculum are now going to be treated at par, which is, I think, fundamentally a very big change if you ask me. And I probably feel that I think this is going to be a game changer for the country as a whole, because you are valuing the time of the student more than I think anything else at the same time. So skilling India, as we always call it as, is going to get major amount of thrust under this new education policy. Of course, I think the learnings coming in through the global institutions also would be, I think, taking place, because they would also be looking at India as the largest democracy of the world, where you would probably, and the demography also at the same time, where they would also looking at, I think, the number of students enrollment happening through this particular policy and framework that we are creating. Maybe Dr. Salunkhe has got more idea about how exactly the new education policy would work eventually for the graduation program or even post-graduation program. So maybe I think I would leave it to him to explain this particular subject more, I suppose.
So Deven sir has rightly said, as the National Education Policy 2020 has announced the online degree and the classroom, the full-time degree at par. So that has given a big boost to the acceptance by the working professionals. Point number one, because after that they can go and do further education also. Also the policies of government to earn credits, and just like a bank account, put in the credit to your credit bank, and then after some time you can do some more credits and then do some more credits and still get a diploma or degree. That has given a good flexibility to the working professionals, because they cannot at length maybe work study for 2 years 3 years for that matter. So they can keep on acquiring the credits, and that credits will be in their credit bank, and over the period of time when the credits worth to the degree or diploma are achieved, they can get the degree or diploma. So that facility also is very flexible, and that will be very it's very welcomed by the working professionals. And as Deven sir rightly said, this online education is, can study from anywhere, anytime, quality education, and affordable, because the cost involved is lower. So if an MBA degree full time is costing you say 10 lakh or 12 lakh rupees, the online degree may is costing you just mere 2 lakh rupees or 1.5 lakh rupees. So affordability is good. You can study from anywhere, from your office, from your home, from your bus or train where you're traveling from, and anytime as per your convenience. Even if you miss the lecture, again the recorded lectures are available to you, and the exams are conducted on the weekends or the holidays. So that has given a big convenience to the working professionals, because they're busy with their work. So they are not free to attend the lecture in the daytime and all that. So that they're very, very happy. And big chunk of now, I'll tell you, last Sunday only I was giving a small talk at IIM Trichy, obviously online. The inaugural session was there. It was on the healthcare management. The MBBS doctors were numbering more than 40 or 50. So The healthcare is a very important segment, and from that segment, so many professionals coming in the healthcare management program, very fantastic it was. So the IIMs programs are increasing. Earlier IIMs were more focused, or IITs were more focused on the full-time students more. But now the executive education has given a big boost to the revenue model, and those quality faculties are available for the mass education. So the new education policy of Government of India is fantastic. That has given a big boost to online, and the government policies are really changing the all parts of the online educations.
Sure thing. So before we end the session, to both of you, I would want to ask any message if you would want to give to the viewers who are listening to you through our medium. Sanjay sir, to start with you.
I think Deven sir is my senior, so let him start with. He's a great operator.
Well, I think the skilling India is the one important subject I think which this country is now moving at. Be it in the area of data analytics, be it in the area of renewables, be it in the area of cloud computing, or for that matter machine learning. All of these areas are basically becoming the newer segments in our economy, and I believe that every successful professional will also have to upskill himself, I think reskill himself in this entire area of activity. So I am particularly very bullish about these particular possibilities for the entire economy as a whole, that we are going to be transforming big time. Uh, One single experience of renewables, I believe, has a potential of bringing down our power cost. If we adopt green hydrogen successfully, by 2030, we hold the potential of bringing down our power cost to one-fourth than what we are currently spending. This could be, I think, a major game changer. Now, how are you going to get the skill for running the programs like renewables or green hydrogen for that matter? I think this is where the role of education institutions will come into, and this is where the players like JARO will probably come into. I believe that I think the way in which OEMs in the automobile industry depend on their ancillary suppliers, today I think JARO's business model is suggesting that they could become a very perfect supplier going forward as well, with all their partner institutions in supplying the entire ecosystem required for the purpose of education. So this is what I think I believe that is the potential, and that is where I think I believe that investor will experience some phenomenal amount of development out of this potential going forward when they invest into subjects like one which we are talking about today.
I think that was a crux explaining it all. Sanjay sir, your message.
So after Deven sir spoke, it is difficult for me to. Our motto basically is to upskill, reskill India, and by educating the masses through affordable education, we wish to make India economic superpower.
Fantastic. I think that sums it up everything actually.
That sums it up everything. And on this note, we are going to end this session. And frankly speaking, honestly speaking, such an insightful session. And in fact, understanding the views of two visionaries, one who understands and knows the art, science, and math of wealth management, investment management, and investment banking, and another visionary who understands the art, math, and science of education sector, means a lot to us. Thank you so much, Deven sir and Sanjay sir, for being with us in this segment.
Thank you very much. Wonderful evening to both of you.
Thank
you, Dr. Salunkhe, and thank you, Mansi, for being a wonderful host and inviting us on the show. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye.